be there today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, every single day. I will protest because we need a better hospital. They have to fix the hospital, and I will stand alone to see that happen.
All right. What time did you got here today?
10:30.
And what time do you intend to leave?
4:30.
And when will you be back?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Do you have anything for St. Lucians watching, and you would like them to, whatever you like them to do? Can you go ahead?
I think St. Lucia are very coward people, set of people. You don't think about what people will think about you, or let's say, oh, I'm afraid people might curse me or something. No, we have to stand. You don't care. We come, we rally, we stand for our country. This nonsense cannot be happening all the time. Who cares about us? Nobody cares about us. We have to do something. If anybody wants to come and join me, feel free. Because I'll be there tomorrow, I'll be there day after tomorrow, and every day.
All right, thank you so very much. So, St. Lucians, there you have it. She's asking us to put politics aside and take a stand for our healthcare here in St. Lucia. So, who's going to be the next person to take the stand? I am Vitus Peter, sending you back over to the studio.
This lady, my hat off to you, because I have always said that St. Lucians are cowards. Even me taking up the role to do what I'm doing, everybody's like, you're not afraid, they're going to send hitmen, they're going to kill you, they're going to do you this and that. I am covered under the blood of Jesus, and I'm going to continue talking. And just like the lady said, if I have to die for my country, so be it. I'll go and meet my Heavenly Father. But I was told that some people will be joining her tomorrow to protest. St. Lucians, you need to get up. You need to get up and get. Over to you, Mr. Chasney.
Thank you. First of all, I really want to congratulate her, and I'm so sorry that it's come to this, that it may take the public's participation, to bring about a change. So really, what I have to say is not going to solve the problem, but hopefully it gives persons an insight to what we were trying to do and the logic behind what we were trying to do. I can say to you, the intention of my government was to get St. Jude's fixed as fast as possible. It is when I got the first preliminary report, that was within the first week, it was so depressing that we commissioned a full study by a company called FDL. People have tried to undermine FDL. I want to say that FDL is a solution company that has done the most amazing work in the region. In fact, CDB's #1 engineering firm throughout the region is FDL. Wow. Okay? And he has over 160 people employed. So this is a very professional firm with a lot of experience. And we commissioned him to do a study because I just could not believe, honestly, that what the reports I was hearing. When he did the study, which is, the study itself is over 217 pages and has like 3 annexes to it. In a nutshell, what he said was that there was no final plan for the hospital. That they had spent, the building that you see there, they had spent $140 million on that building. And it was estimated that it would take another $100 million to be able to complete the project. But he could not confirm that number because they could not confirm the integrity, the structural integrity of the building itself. But that also the building had many flaws in its design, maintaining international standard. And that the building where they were putting certain services, you would not put those services in those locations. So an example was, when you went on the ground floor, in order to fit in the MRI machine, they had to dig into the ground, which would have been below the ground level, which means it would have been always vulnerable to flooding. The building that was demolished, as an example, they built the building over two big trees and the trunks. So they never took out the tree trunks. So the building kept flooding because the tree trunks were still growing and cracking all of the concrete. So I said, okay, the people need to get out of the stadium. How do I downsize the ambition of that project and try to create an opportunity for people to move in? He came back with another report, and that was going to cost minimum $80 million. But he still couldn't confirm that that's what the final amount was going to be. I was very depressed, so. I asked myself, okay, if I was building a hospital from scratch, what would the hospital look like? It would be a box, meaning all the services would be contained in one building. So when you go around the world today and you look at the modern hospitals, that's what they look like. I was on my way to Turks and Caicos after a hurricane, and I asked for the flight to be diverted to go to Cayman, which we did. And I took FDL, I took the Attorney General, and I took Guy Joseph as the Minister of Economic Development with me. And we went to actually see the Cayman Health City operation there. I was blown away. I then had an opportunity to meet with the Premier and members of his cabinet to explain to me what the difference that the hospital made. So they said, because of having that hospital there that was an international standard, it made it easier for people who wanted to purchase real estate and for people who were investing in the country, because they knew that there was an international level of healthcare available to them. We also knew that we wanted to expand through the DSH project. We had already commenced the beginning to do a tripling the size of the airport. And as you know, we were in discussions with getting a cruise ship facility. So it means that if all those things came in that old facility would be grossly inadequate, right? The last thing that helped us make the decision, I said, okay, if I didn't put the hospital in that location and I built the hospital where we're building it now, what would I use that building for? And I said, you know what, this building looks like a great university. And I actually had brought the university that went into Barbados, I brought them to St. Lucia. It's just the building wasn't ready enough, and Mia did a great job in selling them on Barbados. They had a housing complex already for them, and they used the Shelbourne Center. But the reality is there's going to be other opportunities to bring another university there. So it's not to say the building is going to go to waste. The building that we built is a modern building, and it's what we call a smart building. And I want to explain to Solutions what I mean by a smart building. The panels that you see are 1.5 feet. So it's a concrete drywall, a styrofoam, a cavity or space, styrofoam, and then a concrete wall. So what happens is that the cold temperature from the air conditioning is absorbed, and then the heat is absorbed from the outside. They meet in the cavity, so that the humidity now, if there's any, is in the cavity, and the water drops down to a pan on the ground and takes the water outside, so it resolves the mold issue. Because the variation in the temperature now between the outside wall and the inside wall is less, it means that the air conditioner has to work less. Okay? Yeah. Also, what the design of the building is for is that none of the piping, the plumbing, or any of the electrical work goes into the walls like you've seen traditionally. It goes, because of the height of the ceilings, it goes in a tray that carries the water and the electrical, and depending on where you have your partition, it then goes on the inside of the wall. So it means that any modification is very easy to make happen, right? So when they say there's no water and there's no electricity, that's not true. All of the electricity stuff is connected to the building. all of the plumbing. All you have to do now is to do the interior stuff, which is on the trays in the ceiling, which is much easier both to put in and if there's any modification that you want to do. There's no tiles because what you're using is you're using an epoxy now because the epoxy is hard on the exterior but a little bit soft, so it doesn't absorb anything. It's not porous. So in terms of cleaning it is substantially less.
Exactly.
So the fact is now, the ground floor, which is about 110,000 square feet, is sufficient for the entire operation of the stadium and more to move in. And you would now have upstairs that as you expand and you need more services, you can expand. This idea where they say, oh, but you're going to have construction going upstairs. The construction is done. All you would be doing upstairs is drywall partitions and then putting in your electricity and your plumbing, which is in the ceilings. And it's going to cause no dust. It doesn't affect the operation downstairs one iota. Now, the building that you're showing there, that 220,000 square feet, which is 20% bigger than OKEU, that entire building, as you see there with the panels and all the site preparation that has been done, was $100 million.
Whoa.
Okay? That's $100 million in comparison to $140 million that was already spent on the other building, which is only 50% finished.
Wow.
It would only take $40 million to operationalize downstairs. Now, where Philip Pierre keeps coming in and says, no, it's going to cost you $70 million. It's going to cost you $70 million in cash because the building costs $100 million and $75 million has already been paid, but the contractor is due another $25 million. So you have to pay him this $25 million and then spend another $40 million. Before I left, I had put all of that financing in place.
Wow.
All right, so the documents that he said that was at the AG's office, that's true. But that was in order to all the financing to complete the building, and it would only take 3 months to complete the ground floor, 3 months to operationalize the whole set. Now, the same people who are giving us the technical advice at OKEU, the same people who built that hospital in Cayman, which are now expanding, are the ones who did the ground floor to operation, the design for the ground floor to operationalize it, and were willing to do all of the training of the St. Jude staff to help them in transitioning over to this issue. So this is just a farce.
This is I mean, you're talking, but this is heart-wrenching. I can't believe what is happening in this country. I just can't believe it.
You know, so again, not to proceed with the project. It's not because I wanted, Alan Chastain's project. I wish I could erase that in people's minds if it could get the government to move quicker in moving into the building. But how can you look at that building, speak about being a monstrosity, and say that you have an ambition to modernize your country, that you have a vision for the South of the country? You know, in 9 months, look what's happened to the South. I challenge anybody to contradict me.
Dead.
I mean, I don't know when persons, and look, we lost badly in the South.
Yes.
The Labour Party gained support in Labrie, gained support in the 2 Vieux-Fort seats, all right? And we lost Micoud North.
This
on the
is
promise
just
of what?
nothing, on the promise of nothing. Lies and deceit on the promise of nothing.